absolutely delightful. Hello!
Hey, everybody.
We're not even going to introduce Susan because we're talking about how the weather likes her better, and I feel like I should complain about this on screen. So we're just going to leave our headphones on. Hold on a second. Let me click a button. Quick,
Okay.
do an introduction while I
Hello,
find the
everybody.
buttons.
Welcome to the show.
Hello!
It is our incredible pleasure this week to have an interview guest. That guest is the amazing Suzan Palumbo.
Let's see if I push the right
whose
button
new
this time.
collection, Skin Thief, is out now.
Right.
And we will be talking about that amongst many, many other things.
Including, hang on a second, I'm going to put her on screen now. All right. Come on, button. You can do it. You do it. Okay, hey. There you are. You are now live. Everyone can see you. Everyone can hear you. And the weather likes you better. It's not fair.
The weather loves me.
The weather does love me. We were just talking about how Susan will see me like tweeting about my stupid walks for my stupid mental health. I'll be like, it's raining and I don't like it. And Susan's like, Marguerite, this speaks to my soul. I have an internal bog. And I'm like, I'm very jealous. It's not fair.
Huh.
Internal bog.
An internal bog. I love it. How are you? It's how long has it been since we hung out? It's been, oh gosh, a couple years, I think.
I don't know anything about time anymore.
Yeah, what is time?
You know, it's been a long time. When was the last FIACon?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was the last FIACon, which is at least 2, if not 3 years ago. I don't want to think about that. It makes me sad.
It's been a while.
I know.
It has. How have you been?
Right? Short, pithy answer to long, complicated question here. Right? It's like, well,
I always get upset with myself because when I'm on these podcast things, my voice goes really, really high because I always get excited.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
How have you been?
Yes, I have been well in certain respects and chaotic in others.
You're chaotic in every respect.
Front, it's been pretty good.
I was gonna say.
Can't complain. But I am a chaotic person, and so chaotic things happen to me, and those are not always bad, but sometimes they're weird. The other day, I tripped on a chair, and I know, how does one trip on a chair? And I fell down.
Being bipedal is a total racket.
Yeah, and my ankle popped.
Ouch!
So that was not good.
No, it was not good.
Are you all right? Is it bearing weight? Is anything broken?
Am I all right? Is a good question.
Susan, I love this. This is the
It's okay. I'm still in pain, but like it's not going to be better for a few weeks. But thankfully, I do not have to stand for this interview unless you ask me to.
No,
we will not.
I'm not going to.
We will not be asking you to stand.
I'm not going to be asking you to stand. That's fine. So
okay, thank you.
And we have to talk about your fabulous hair because I am slightly jealous. It's a great color.
It is fantastic, Susan.
It's a change. It's been long and black for a long time. It's very witchy, black, dark. And then I go to this I'm gonna
do it.
No offense to anybody. I go to this very normie salon. And whenever I walk in, it's like Freak of the Week has walked into the salon because there are all these women and there's nothing wrong
with like a raccoon over your shoulder and like the full kettle. You're like, no bitches. What are we doing?
Right, and I walk in there. They're all these like very calm, normal women, and they're probably my age, I guess, right? And they all have the long hair, and they all have the layers, and they all are getting the blonde highlights. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But I will sit down and be like, okay, I would like my hair to be purple, and they all sit there for a while, and like they call each other over, and they have like a little circle, and they're like, are you okay? Are you sure? Because a lot of the time, I think when you ask for purple or something radical with your hair, hairdressers think you're going through a trauma or like you're going through some big change. So they're worried about me when I go in.
They're both worried about you and then worried you're going to come back a week later and be like all full Karen. How dare you do this to me?
They are scared. They are scared that I'm going to complain. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm pretty chill. I just want it to be purple. Just give me purple. So I got the purple, and they were really excited because nobody else gets purple. And then the other day I went and I was like, okay, so shave it. And they were like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, just shave it. It'll be fine.
It's
grow back."
hair.
Like,
It
I'm
grows back.
consoling them. And then they're excited because, they get to play with my hair.
Exactly.
I don't know if this was the answer to your question. I just went off. Sorry.
No, it's
No,
fine.
this is. I mean, it's you. So this is amazing, and also
Alasdair, you are very quiet. I can't hear you.
Hold on.
Scooch
on.
closer.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's fine. No, it's honestly, it's you. So your answer is amazing and eloquent, and has given me it's given me a perspective I'd never considered.
Jealous?
How many times a week do I make the joke about my hair and your hair?
Yes, I know. He uses so much product.
In fact, I want to go on record as saying I have not made jokes about how much product I use in my hair on this stream, and I've been thinking about it for the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
So what kind of products do you use?
Water. Pretty much water. Occasionally shower gel. It takes a while. But the thing which you said that just kind of unpeeled my brain a little bit, I find it incredibly sweet and kind of reassuring that these hairdressers responded to you as like, oh God, she's at the top of a montage.
Right?
Where it's the start of the second act of her story and she's rebuilding her life. We have to do this properly. And I find that
there's a lot of emotion. I mean, there's a lot of stereotype around barbershops and how they are community centers for men. And I'm very grateful that there is something in male culture that is a supportive environment. And if it has to be a barbershop, then great, fine, cool. But hairdressers are the same way. I don't know if you know this, but here in the UK, there was actually a public health initiative that was launched a couple of years ago now, I think it was, to train people who work in salons with like basic mental health care skills, to be like, good at active listening, to like equip them with lists of like resources in a community that they can recommend for people who, seem to be seeking that kind of help. So yeah, they can be very supportive environments.
I find that incredible, and not incredible in that kind of I don't believe it way. I find that incredible in that kind of holy shit, sometimes humanity is awesome kind of way.
It's nice to be reminded
every time. About when you get your hair done, right? Or when you do things to your appearance sometimes. In heteronormative culture, generally, there are certain milestones that you go through. And the hairdresser or the barber is present for those in the background.
Yep.
That's true.
A lot of the time, right? If you're going out, if you're going to prom, right? You might go get your hair done. That's a milestone for you, or your graduation, or you're getting married. Like in all of those kind of typical life milestones, you visit a hairdresser or a barber.
Or a stylist, just in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had never thought of it that way. And I now view that particular element of life entirely differently. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. My
Susan's going to go write a short story about this now, because that's how prolific you are, isn't it?
About hair.
About hair? Why not? Why not about hair?
No. Wait. I'm sorry. You could do that. It could be like a time travel beyond time hairdresser, right? So like they stay and they're doing this family's hair through generation to generation.
I love it.
End up in space or something.
Write that down.
Yeah, go if you write that down.
I can't write any stories now. I'll let you guys.
You talked about this on social media just earlier today. You're like, I'm not allowed to write any more short stories because you have like so many things coming out right now. Like normally when we talk to an interview guest, we talk at the end about what they've got coming up next. But let's talk about it now. You have like a debut novella coming out, and I think you have a debut novel coming out next year.
I'm writing it, and I need to finish it, and it's torture, and I don't know if I'm going to survive.
Yes, you will.
Yes, you will.
I mean, nobody can guarantee what's going to happen, right? So, I mean, hopefully I'll finish it. It's a gothic. See, my novella. Okay, so there's this book, right?
Start
This
at the
is
beginning.
short
Yes.
stories.
Okay.
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
This
All
is
right.
the short stories, and then there's the novella, which I totally went off course and wrote a space opera. But there's vultures and a cursed planet, so I kind of stuck my stuff in it. And
See,
then
but space opera is one of those genres where you just do whatever you want to do and say, and it's a different planet. So that makes it space.
That's why I wrote a space opera.
You're seeing the face, right?
Okay, he just watched a trailer this evening for a lighthouse in space movie, so he's very much
That's
a fan.
fantastic. I would love to be a lighthouse keeper in space.
Right?
Like, where's that job?
What's it called? Beacon
23.
Beacon 23?
Yes.
It's apparently a new movie with
I gotta write that down.
Lena Headey.
with Lena Headey and
Stephen James from the first season of the thing that was adapted from a really good podcast. Name of Temple.
Archive 81?
No, it's the other one. He's also in the one of the Lost Things Chadwick Boseman did. This is what my brain is for.
You'll remember. Don't worry about it.
Homecoming. First season of Homecoming. Thank you. Yeah.
I will look that up because that's my jam.
Oh, it looks so good because it looks like there's like alternate dimension or time travel shenanigans going on, but ultimately it is a lighthouse in space, like to the point where there's the big central room with the light that rotates out into space. I'm like,
so you know what those are called? Because I'm a lighthouse nerd. I went to PEI and I visited a whole bunch of lighthouses, and I learned about how lighthouses operate. And those kind of lenses that you see, that they're kind of like bug eyes. They're called Fresnel lenses.
Fresnel lenses.
Were like, yes, and I have more information about them because I was going to write a story about it, but that story cannot be written now. I'm not writing stories now.
Can't be written yet.
Because that's one of my nerdy topics.
What is PE? You said you went to PEI. What's that?
Prince Edward Island.
Oh, okay, cool.
PEI.
Where
you know where Anne of Green Gables?
Yeah.
Yes. Red dirt, potatoes.
Yeah.
Red dirt, potatoes, and lighthouses.
In Canada.
Yes.
Lighthouses. Nova Scotia, like near Nova Scotia.
Okay.
I'm Canadian.
I know. I just didn't know what the abbreviation stood for. Cool. Okay, so you're not allowed to write any short stories, even though we've come up with ideas for 2 on this stream alone.
Yes. Continue talking.
Yeah, the sun is interrupting this conversation. So
Let's go. Keep going. It's fine. I'm fine.
It's fine. It's fine. You're fine.
It's fine.
Okay, so your collection is out now. You've got a space opera novella coming out. Tell us about the space opera novella, and then we'll talk about the short story collection.
So it's The Count of Monte Cristo.
One of my favorite books.
Gender swapped, Caribbean, in space.
Fuck yes.
Yes. Give it to me now.
Fuck yes.
No, well, I'm doing the edits for it right now.
Sweet.
Well, I'm not. If you're watching, I am doing the edits, but I actually haven't started.
So is this coming out through ECW then? Are you're talking about Jen Albert?
Yes.
Love for Jen. Love you, Jen.
Next year.
Sweet.
It's coming out next year.
And then the novel.
And then the novel is being written, and it's back to what you would expect from me. It's a queer Gothic novel, and I don't want to give too much away about it because I really think my idea is like kick ass.
Okay, good.
So the kick-ass novel is in process.
It has a monster.
Good.
That's amazing.
Gotta have a
love
monster.
monsters.
Yeah, it has a monster and it's gay. So there you go. That's the pitch.
Is the book gay or is the monster gay or yes?
Everything is gay.
Of course.
Everything. The whole thing. The
Okay.
paper, the book, the writer.
The paper, the ink, everything. It's all gay.
The computer. This blanket.
Your tie. All of it. It's all gay. Fabulous. I'm sorry the sun is causing you such a problem there. You doing okay?
No, this is stylish. This is it's posing.
You're like contemplative. Yeah. That or you're like, it's a very weird one-sided cheerleader thing you're doing. We'll just style that. Really? No. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, Skin Thief.
Skin Thief, go for it.
Yes. It's an incredible collection.
Because you are most.
Have you read it?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's on my Kindle.
On
Absolutely.
my iPad.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. I'm always shocked when people have read my work.
Why are you shocked? We are short story people. You've been publishing short stories for years.
No, but it's I live in a bubble, right? I live in a little bubble where it's just me and my family members, and I'm a gremlin, a vampire, and don't really associate with people often. And so when they tell me they've read things,
You're like, no,
to my
illegal.
face, I'm always shocked.
I have been perceived.
That's a habit you share with Premi Muhammad.
Yeah,
you know that.
yes,
Right?
it
She's
is.
always the same way. She'll people will be like, I've read your book. And she's like, no, don't do that. And then her editor, Dave, will come along and go, yes, please do that. That's what they're for.
I think the first time we met Premi, Dave had to explain to her that following behind him as he was handing out arcs of her first novel and going, yeah, it's really not very good. You should wait for the next one. And attempting to take them back from the person
was
who just handed them
not a
to
good idea.
Was frowned upon.
It's I think it's partially a cultural thing.
Yeah.
We're from the same geographic area, and we are really not like the walking in and being like, hey, yes, I wrote a book. Here's my book. Yes, you read my book. Of course you read my book. It's my book and it's me. That kind of talk. In the back of my head, I can hear my mother saying, what are you doing? Stop, pull it back. No, you don't talk about yourself like that. So I have that in the back of my head. Okay, sorry, continue.
No. I think it is a common experience among creative people, in general. But I think you're right that women of people who are raised as women and people of certain backgrounds very much have that ingrained in them. How do you deal with that? Because part of being an independently published author, whether we like it or not, is that you have to. This sounds weird. You have to flog your wares, right? You have to go out there and talk about stuff. How do you deal with that? Having to balance those two things.
So you're assuming I have balance.
Okay, fair.
Which is an interesting assumption. Okay, so
okay, do you just lie in bed in a cold sweat every night, deleting all of your tweets, or?
No, obviously not. You can see I'm I won't stop talking on there, right?
I'm not gonna chink. I'm gonna call it Twitter until it dies. He can just too bad.
Of course. Well, I don't know. Nobody can make us say anything. They can't make us do anything. We'll call it what we want. I think what I am on the internet and what I am here at the moment is a very on version of myself.
Yep.
And
Valid.
so I in order to come on here today, I psyched myself up for a good hour. I listened to a lot of music. Part of it is I've put on this outfit. I obviously don't wear this all the time. I mean, not to burst anyone's bubble if they think I'm, dressed in capes all the time, but I'm not. And so, yes, I do kind of psych myself up to say, okay, we're going to talk about this book. We're going to talk about this topic, because I generally don't like talking about myself.
Is it that you don't like talking about yourself, or is that you feel like you shouldn't talk about yourself? Is there a distinction there?
It's even more strange than that.
I would expect nothing less, Susan.
I don't like talking about myself too much. And yes, there is that part about being brought up that way. But I also like to keep things quite private. And I think people think that I don't. And that's not true. I think I come across very genuine and very sort of carefree. But I mean, I don't really, and this is not to encourage anybody to go digging up things on me, but I don't really talk too much about my inner self that I feel like, okay, this is private. I'm not going to share that. Yeah. So there's also that part. I often want to hold things back for myself. And it doesn't seem like that on the internet, but I've perfected the way I do it.
It's almost the way I've always thought of it sometimes, especially the way I think of it is in my own professional context. It's like I have to cosplay being business Marguerite. It's like, this is how business Marguerite does things, which is different and usually less profane the way this particular or
But
like
not
internet
always.
Marguerite does things, because it does kind of give you both that like degree of freedom, but also that degree of separation, and that, business Marguerite doesn't have to talk about deep personal things if she doesn't want to. You can just kind of shelter that
I think
part.
that's what the writing is for. All of the deep personal things have gone into the book. They're not like, transcribed directly, but they're in there.
Yeah.
And so I let the books or I let the stories say those things. I don't talk about those things directly.
But do you? Yeah. No, I see that. I totally see that. I would imagine it would sometimes put you in awkward positions where people like me who are interviewing you are like, what was your motivation behind this particular piece of pain? And it's like, you know what? You can interpret that however you want to. I've done the work. I've put this little tiny piece of myself into the work that I have allowed the internet to perceive. I'm not interested in being like dissected about it.
I get that a lot. That is a number one question where people will be like, what motivated you? And I can say vague things. I'll say, well, heartbreak, or well, I was depressed, or this horrible thing happened to me. But I'm okay with the general things. Because I think sometimes those things are important to talk about. Like if you have a story where somebody is suicidal, right? I really don't see how I'm going to avoid talking about feeling suicidal if I've written this story about someone feeling suicidal. So to me, I don't feel like that suicidal in general is the personal part. The personal part is the details surrounding why I felt that way and those things. But I feel it's important to talk about that generally so that people don't feel that's what they connect to in the story.
You absolutely have balance, because that is a way of balancing it, isn't it? Look, that's totally. Plus, I think if I had to summarize like one of my biggest frustrations or even pet peeves about kind of like modern genre literature and discussions and trends and discourse and all of that, is that there is this assumption that if a writer presents something from a personal frame of reference, whatever that experience may be, it could be the experience of a negative emotion, or the experience of a social background or something like that. There's just kind of like this expectation that it is your job to bare your soul about every aspect of whatever that was that you tried to express through your work. And I really dislike that. I think asking creative people to be expected to be performative about their identity or their experience, that expectation that, well, if you said it, then I get to ask you questions. I really don't think that's a fair position to put people in. You have to respect that somebody gets to have the discussion they want to have about a topic, and that you making an assumption that means you're entitled to more information than has been volunteered to you. I really disagree with that. I don't think it's fair to put that burden. People who want to volunteer that information, fine. But so much, I think, of what gets buzz and what gets consideration a lot of times is people being expected to perform their pain.
My comment is yes.
The thing which fascinates me about that and about it and how it ties to what you've been talking about is one of the common threads which I see across a lot of your work is how extraordinarily adept you are at building what I think of as third spaces. A lot of my training is kind of critical literary analysis. And the thing which I was always taught to do was assume the text is a landscape. And the writer has given you a map across the landscape, and you make your own way across it however you see fit. And there's a thing that you do, and you do it over and over again, which astounds me, which is you do that, but you use it to transform the perspective on something which the reader comes in with certain preconceptions of, and approach it in an entirely different way. And the story which really hit me between the eyes on that was Descaling, which I adore. It is one of the best short stories I've read this year, and the way that you puzzle everything up and explore this as a story about evolution and a story about terminal illness and a story about family. And you do all of those in ways I've never seen before. And you wrap each one of them around the other so they are all presented in an entirely new way. And it is startling. It is one of the most...
Well, thank you.
You do it with the Pull of the Herd as well,
Yes.
which is the first story in the book, which is, I mean, the way it's presented is it's a story about skin shifters, people who put on skins and become animals or take them off and are not. And so when that concept is presented, just kind of straightforward like that, readers are led to make an assumption about what the story is about. But that's not what the story is about at all. The story is about the family dynamics of change and not fitting in and growing and what it's like to be someone different from what you're expected to be. It's a very, you almost use the premise of skin shifting to say okay, so this is where we're starting. So I need you to come with me here. And then I actually want to tell you that story through that almost like medium.
Yes. So I don't know how to address this because it's two different stories. The sun is going to come back.
It's okay.
But
you're like, yes. Okay. I love it.
But so when I started writing, I'll try to talk about them briefly. When I started writing The Pull of the Herd, and this is not going to come across sounding very nice, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I've read quite a bit of short fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I read quite a bit of science fiction and fantasy. I read a lot of horror. I used to read Slush for Shimmer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually read a couple weeks. Jen had asked me to help out with some Slush for Podcastle once several years ago. So I did Podcastle. I read Slush ads, Diabolical Plots, and I currently just finished reading some for Strange Horizons. So I've read thousands of short stories.
We have to talk about your Strange
Horizons
at least collection
began thousands of short stories. I didn't finish them all when I was reading Slush.
Because otherwise you never sleep.
It was all bad. But have found that not always, but a lot of the time, when you get a story about a skin shifter, for A Pull of the Herd, it's about deer, but I took the Selkie myth.
Yeah.
And I transposed it onto deer. And when you read a Selkie story, what you get most of the time is a story about a woman, and she's very sad because there is a man. If they're going to flip it, usually the story is he steals the skin and stuff.
She's trapped and subjugated, yeah.
Yes. But when you read it flipped, even when it's flipped, right? The story is the woman is in the house and she's very sad and she's a blameless person. She's never done anything wrong in her life. And this horrible man has stolen her skin and has trapped her in the house. And she's very, very sad. I keep saying sad because that's what she is. And she escapes from the horrible man. And she gets back to her people in the end. And that's a good story. There's nothing wrong with that. And I've read it many times, beautifully told. But I'm more interested in internal conflict in that situation. And I think
just in general in your stories, a good observation is you're very interested in internal conflict.
Yeah, I'm interested in what is going on within the person. And I'm also interested in main characters who are not perfect.
Yeah.
And in Pull of the Herd, she feels incredibly guilty. She she's left her family. They are not happy with her, and she feels very bad, and she is the cause of an accident that happens that she feels horrible about, and she's living with a bunch of guilt. So I was interested in sort of using that trope to explore an internal conflict. And so that's why I went there with that. And with a descaling, that word is pronounced apolopisi. It's a Greek word. I had a Greek friend help me learn that word. And it means a descaling. I was sitting there thinking about The Little Mermaid, because that's what I do.
You've been hanging out with Lewis too long, right?
Right? So I was sitting there thinking about The Little Mermaid, and I was thinking about how this whole story is about a girl who
is sad.
Is very sad. And she wants to be human. And she trades her voice or whatever it is to go follow this guy. And there's nothing wrong with following guys, but that's what it, and every time I see a mermaid story, it's very similar. Or if I see a mermaid story in horror, what I see is the mermaids are horrible and they are calling the sailors, and then the sailors come and they're like, wow, you're a hot mermaid. And they get all confused, and then the mermaid eats their face.
Yep.
That's usually the two
There's two mermaid stories, and those tend to be the two of them. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, those are the kinds we get. And I kind of didn't want to do those things. I wanted to go somewhere else because I've seen so much of it, I was like, okay, well, what if it's not a choice to be a human? And then what does she think about that? And what does her partner think about that? So that's why I ended up doing those things, because I don't want to write the story that everyone else is writing. And I'm not saying everyone else is writing it, and I'm not saying they shouldn't write it. I just don't want to do that.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, capitalism is asserting itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little tiny short break. Folks, we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we will be right back with our incredible guest. So be right back. or your villains are
we're back.
all like one-dimensional. Like, I am a hero, therefore I can experience this emotional range, and I have never done anything wrong, and this is the emotional journey that I will go on. And that is it's so hard for like other people to find themselves in that experience, right?
Exactly.
Well, I do think there is a subset of people who like that, and I do think that is popular for a reason. And I do think that it provides an arc that people find satisfying. But I'm really obsessed with having two separate arcs in a story. And one is the situational arc and one is the emotional arc. And I often find sometimes I'm missing the internal emotional arc in a story within a character when I read some of them. And I practice that a lot. So like when I write a story, I don't map out everything. I don't like write out scenes, but in my mind, I think, okay, emotionally, they're going to go from this point, from feeling this way to feeling this way by the end of the story. So that I try to make that happen throughout the whole thing.
That's like my number one. Like, I read a lot of science fiction because I enjoy science fiction, but I enjoy very little science fiction for exactly that reason, is that so much of it in the breadth of my reading is great. It's conceptual, it has great ideas. It can have fun explorations of like time travel or like political systems, but there's no heart. It's just it's sterile. Emotionally, there is no arc. So I love the idea that you intentionally build two arcs. Like, there is a narrative arc and then there is a character emotional arc. And you kind of have to have both to form that, like, that tight connection. We have a good friend, her name is Margaret Dunlap, and she writes in Hollywood, and she talks about this a lot. She said that there are few ways, there are only a few ways for a story to like enter you, right? They can come through your brain and hook something in your brain. And in television, it can come through your eyes. It can hook you with the visuals. But the things that stick with us are the ones that come through the heart.
Yeah.
That like just come in and hook in. And not everybody aims for that with what it is they're writing. I can name dozens of science fiction writers where they write beautiful, award-winning conceptual prose, which just leaves me flat. Because I'm like, at no point in reading this brilliant piece of work did I care. And if I don't care about a story, I'm much less likely to continue.
I mean, there's a really strong example of that. I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, the Apple TV Foundation TV show is really good, but it's not Foundation. It's too different. And I mean, even before we skitter into the minefield of whether an adaptation is the same thing, it's very hard not to look at comments like that and think, well, what you're actually saying is there are too many non-white people, too many women, and people have emotions, and all three of those things frighten and confuse you. And it's the same story. It's just told through a different lens to one these folks are used to.
Exactly.
Well, I think also people approach reading probably sometimes through for different reasons. If you don't want to feel anything while you read, like if you just want, like if you don't, what if you actively pick up a story and you don't want it to grab your heart? What if you don't want that, right? So I can see those types of stories working in that type of situation.
I've never thought of that. I've honestly never thought of it that way, because
sometimes that's what escapism is, right?
Oh, yeah.
That you don't want to think about anything that's going to disturb you, or you don't want to have any sort of intrusion. You want a space where it's like, okay, I'm going to follow this story through to the end, and I may feel happy at the end, or I may feel like satisfied that they won, right? But you don't want any negative feelings to intrude.
Has this been your experience when you like to reread a favorite novel, like every year or something?
I don't reread favorite novels.
I very rarely reread a favorite novel. So I am learning a lot about like the underlying assumptions I bring to reading now, because my personal experience is that I have very little time for purely like relaxational engagement, right? Because I do too many things and there aren't enough hours in the day. And sleep is a thing that stupid
fewer
bodies have to do.
Fewer than that.
Right?
Fewer than that.
So when I do want to engage with something as escapism or relaxation, I want like an intensity of an emotional experience. I want to kind of pack it in because I have so little of it. I don't want to, but at the same time, I think about how I listen to music when I'm working and how there's certain times where I don't want music that I consider challenging.
Yeah.
I want something that I know so well that it's just like a background kind of
fades.
hum. And I'm thinking it's kind of like that with reading, right? It's like, I want to reread a novel I've read before because I want to like be nostalgically reminded of an experience that I consider supportive or positive or neutral enough in such a way that I'm not going to be surprised or like presented with something that I wasn't expecting. And I've never considered that before.
There are people approach that differently, right? So when you said before, okay, you're going to read a story and it's just going to be like, okay, there's not going to be an emotional hook in that story. Some people find that comforting. Some people don't find that comforting. Some people find the catharsis of being horrified or being upset or crying. Some people find that comforting, right?
Yeah.
And I think probably why I ended up writing the way I do, because I write a lot of dark fantasy and horror, but I kind of border into the science fiction, like the SFF world. My space opera is science fiction, right? And I think the reason why I write that way is because I am much more horror leaning in a lot of ways. And that's why the internal arc is so present in the stories, because horror is about feelings.
Yep. It is. It's about how you process, deal. I think there is no genre better than horror for allowing people to step outside of their like personal emotional space and confront and, anthropomorphize and encounter emotions or concepts or forces that they just can't otherwise do so. Like, it's all well and good to be like presented with like, the plinth from 2001 and be like, oh, it is such a mind-boggling thing. But it's very different to be presented with unknowable cosmic horror and have to like read pages and pages and pages of how a mind processes that and what it does and how you react to it. It's intentionally about dealing with those things that we would really rather you didn't do in person, to be honest. It's fine to read true crime fiction, but we'd really rather everyone didn't become serial killers. Thank you.
Yeah, it's exactly. And that's what horror lets you do. It lets you kind of think about those things. And it's always funny when people get upset with horror writers because they're like, well, you must be a horrible person or you're scary. And most of the time I find horror writers much more empathetic generally than other people I meet, because you spend so much time thinking about how something could hurt somebody, not in an evil maniacal, okay, maybe if you're pissed off at somebody, right, you're gonna do your plan.
Everybody's a catharsis, no
generally,
judge.
you're thinking about how something could hurt someone emotionally. You spend so much time sort of putting yourself in another person's shoes, or if someone's had a disaster, you're sitting there thinking, what would that feel like?
Yeah.
That you end up being much more conscientious of people's feelings generally, because you're constantly thinking about feelings.
Right.
Then you need a therapist.
Or I find horror writers to be hilarious because they understand that humor is the other side of the coin of horror, and they know how to play with that light and shadow a lot, which I think comedic horror is like a really
that's my favorite. I don't get to watch enough of it, but that is my favorite thing.
Funny.
One of my favorite movies is Ready or Not.
So freaking good.
The one, it's that is my comfort movie. Talk about comfort, right?
Right.
That like makes me feel cozy.
Cabin in the Woods is totally a comfort movie for me. Yeah. Pontypool is one for him. He loves that movie.
You know why they feel cozy? I think because it's an enclosed space.
The other thing is that horror has done a really good job, I think, of like breaking the fourth wall about its tropes. Like that whole rash for the last finally couple of years of we know what a final girl is. And we know what the rules of a final girl are, so that we can like lean on them and subvert them and bring people quickly into that experience just by saying this is a final girl book.
There's a fantastic movie that hit Amazon Prime a couple of weeks ago called Totally Killer, about the teenage daughter of a final girl who is thrown.
Oh yes, I saw. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know that movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Thrown back in time to the weekend where the horrible thing that happened to her mom happened, and has to try and work out how to stop it or become part of those events. It's really very, very good, and it speaks directly to a lot of that stuff.
I like that. It's kind of got that old school Freaky Friday
does
vibe.
Fantasy do that? And just like I'm not, because I write those too. I'm not trying to like trash them, but do they do that as much?
Does fantasy do what as much?
Subvert the tropes.
Well, yeah,
in
but
the same way.
I think, but I think that there are different tropes that are being subverted. I mean, because when we talk about fantasy tropes, the two things that immediately spring to mind are the hero's journey, right? You know, Star Wars, the whole thing, and fairy tales. You know, kind of the whole idea of Wonder Tales of Hans Christian Andersen and different, you know, cultural stories that deliver morals that are there for us. Those get, I think, twisted a lot. Like there's like a whole genre of it's like Snow White but X, or this is Rapunzel but Y. That happens a lot. And I just think because the shadow to the light of horror is comedy, I think those subversions play better. They get more attention. They seem to hook in better because the whole thing about horror is, again, hooking you with emotion.
Yeah.
And there is no, I think personally, wider swing in all of genre than going from screaming to laughing. That emotional arc is some of the broadest contrast that I think we experience cathartically, physically. And so it has a greater ability to hook people. It's why, again, I think the most successful genre of audio drama is horror. Is because of the...
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it is because...
I'm interviewing you now.
Okay, no. And the reason I think it is because unlike with a book, when you listen to audio, there is no... You can't close your eyes. You can't skip a few pages. There is no way to close your ears to audio engagement. It's very, very intimate as a result. And therefore, topics with heavy emotional loads, like horror, hook better through an auditory processed medium. That's my assertion.
I
That's
can
what
think
I believe.
of two instances where I've been listening to an episode of a horror podcast, and it's got to a particular moment, and I have audibly gone, nope, and taken my headphones off.
Oh no, you got scared.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Can I say
Please
this?
do.
Okay, Alasdair
You
can't.
host a
I
horror
know.
podcast.
I know, but he can't watch it. He won't go to the new Exorcist movie unless it's during the daytime.
Because then it can't get
Because
me.
then it can't get him. He can't watch horror movies
Aw.
at night.
Oh, but like that. Okay, that was a little bit cute though.
It is very
Ruined the
cute.
day.
He's the host of horror content. He deals with it all the time. He plays characters.
Listen, I think people who write horror, for the same reason that I mentioned about how they have a lot of feelings, they are terrified of everything. Do you know how much shit I'm scared of? Scared of everything. Sleep on the side of the bed that's closest to the door because the killer is going to come in, right? And if I'm at the side of the bed where the killer is, he's going to have extra, like, if I'm on the other side, there's a few seconds where I can like run and like go under the bed.
Of course.
Right? Or right, so I can't sleep there. I'm afraid of tall people because I'm like 5 feet tall. I'm afraid of all kinds. I grew up in an apartment, so when I moved to a house, I was afraid of every single noise. I was afraid of the heater. I was afraid in a house there's a front door and a back door, which is good because you could run out if the killer is coming from the front door. But what if the killer is at the back door? Or like, what if you're upstairs and you have to jump out the window to escape? Like, I've thought of all these things. So people who are into horror,
I just have to point this out.
everything.
The chat observed when you said you were afraid of tall people that Alasdair kind of slouched down in his chair.
Are you tall?
He's 6'2".
6'2".
Oh, you know what? I'm going to Scotland, right?
Yay!
Next year. Yeah, I'm coming. And so you're 6'2", so I'm gonna be terrified. So I'm going to mentally prepare for that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Matt Dovey from Podcastle is taller than he is.
He's 6'4".
Matt's 6'4".
Like, how do people? Okay, this is gonna come across bad, okay? But I don't mean it in a bad way. How do tall people function? Like, how do you move? How does that? Because so small, right? And I have problems moving. Like I told you at the beginning, right? I fell down the other day, right?
Yeah.
Because I have no coordination. So I'm always impressed with people who are tall that they're coordinated. How do you fall down? I fall down all the time.
Falling down is not the issue for me.
You've never fallen down?
Oh no, I successfully broke my arm by falling over on flat ground.
Yeah, he gave the ground the people's elbow once by mistake.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. The issue that I have is I am exactly on the line between just about tall enough and too tall for basically every piece of infrastructure in this country. So if there is something which has to be ducked under, it will be about here.
Alasdair, so our apartment has kind of low-ish ceilings because there's sound insulation to them because we're an apartment. Mm-hmm. He can just stand here and touch the 8-foot ceiling. That's how tall he is. And I'm like,
wow.
What the hell?
Yeah. I'm very good at shelves. I do great shelves.
Yeah, that's my joke, is tall shelves. That's his joke. Because I am 5'7", which is not short, but is not tall. That's tall things are his job. Yes, exactly. We've totally gone on a tangent about tall things. I'm sorry.
I'm impressed with that, but also terrified. But
it's okay.
I'm not trying to be like in a bad way. It's just I'm always mystified. People from Trinidad generally are not tall.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't have much experience with it either. Yeah.
We have a friend who described me as unlawfully tall a little while ago.
Unlawfully
tall. And from time to time, she will just pop up in my DMs with the word illegal in block capitals. and I'll go, sorry, Naomi. And
there was a good comment in the chat while we were, that was Naomi. Yes, that was Naomi. We were talking about genres, and somebody says, when fantasy subverts the tropes, it immediately turns it into a new subgenre. It gets a new name.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, right.
Do you want dark academia? Because this is how you get dark academia.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Somebody writes a popular concept, and then there's 17 of them, and then it gets a subgenre name.
Yeah.
Whereas in horror, it's just horror. I mean, there is some, I think more so in cinema with horror, you get subgenre types, but in fantasy, they're a dime a dozen. You get a lot of subgenre distinctions when people subvert tropes. It becomes a whole thing. She does it when talking about you behind your back as well. Oh, great.
Fantastic. That's exactly what we want to hear.
Okay, I have completely lost the thread of what we were talking about.
We were talking about Susan's ability to create a third space within a piece of short fiction.
Yeah. We are not talking about the books today. We are talking about height and other things.
Also height and other things.
Also, what are you excited about for Scotland for next year? For Glasgow.
Oh, okay, so I haven't been out of the country in years.
Nice.
And so I'm actually afraid for Scotland. Not I'm afraid of Scotland. I'm afraid for the country of Scotland with me showing up there because I'm just going to be out of control. And I'm a ridiculous person, so I'm afraid of if I'm going to scare people with my just ridiculousness. I mean, I'm not looking forward to that, but I mean, it might be amusing for me.
I can't wait to see this. That's going to be brilliant. We will be there as well, and I would very much like to see you.
But yeah, we're gonna hang out.
Cool.
I'm just mentally doing a checklist of everyone I know in or adjacent to Scotland.
And that's a big list.
And it's a big list. And I sincerely don't think you have a single thing to worry about.
You'll be fine. I think the city
I believe there's going to be a Trinidadian contingent this year because the girls, Rhonda and Sherry, maybe I'm not sure about Brandon, but he usually ends up going to things. We are all planning to go, and I don't know if there's ever been a Trinidadian delegation at a Hugo. I love at a Worldcon before. There's going to be a bunch of Caribbean people.
You should demand badges.
Yeah, you need you should treat yourself. Do something very cool.
Have a flag bearer.
We were saying we were going to have a lime, which is a Trinidadian hangout, but we call it a lime.
I never knew that.
Nice. I'm reading in the chat. Apparently, there are other people who will be going as well. Cool.
Yeah,
Other people are going, so it's not just going to be us.
No, it's not just going to be the three of us rattling around the convention going. Did we get the wrong day?
No, there's going to be a lot of people. That'll be fun. Right. Okay, so we've talked about. We could talk about your short fiction forever because you've been published in like 90 billion places, haven't you? I was reading your introduction.
I feel like I've published that much, actually. Though I don't have as many credits as other writers. I think.
No. Comparison is the thief of joy. Yep. You have an amazing series of credits, don't you? You gave me your bio for this. Let me pull it up.
Oh yeah, we never doing everything the opposite.
We never did your proper introduction here. Should we read your bio now? Okay, and embarrass you live on stream. This will be fun. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Go for it.
Suzan Palumbo was a Trinidadian-Canadian dark speculative fiction writer and editor. Her short stories...
We haven't talked about any of your editing yet. We have to talk about your Strange Horizon special. Okay.
Her short stories have been nominated for the Nebula, Aurora, and World Fantasy Awards. She also co-founded the Ignite Awards with Ellie Lewis.
Which are this weekend! Which we have to talk about as well.
Her debut dark fantasy horror short story collection, Skin Thief Stories, is out now from Neon Hemlock, and her novella, Countess, will be published by ECW Press in 2024. Her writing has been published in Lightspeed Magazine, Fantasy, The Deadlands, The Dark Magazine, Pseudopod, I know those guys, Fireside Fiction Quarterly, Podcastle, I know them too, Anathema Spec Fic, From the Margins, and other venues. Yeah. She's officially represented by Michael Curry of the Donald Mast Literary Agency and can be found on Instagram. Gothic Syntax. When she isn't writing, she can be found sketching, listening to New Wave, or wandering her local misty forests.
And influencing the weather in England when I am trying to take my stupid walk for my stupid mental health. I'm just going to send you photos of the weather from now on. That's how we're going.
When you go out for the walk, I sit in my chair and go like this.
Make it rain on Marguerite! See, and then the sun comes through your window and blinds you for it. So
you're like, no!
I love rainy days. I live for them.
I will trade you all of my rainy days for all of the sunshiny days.
Fashion. Okay, listen. Rainy day, you get boots, you get a raincoat, you can get a hat, you can have gloves, you can have a special umbrella.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Okay, but I'm wet.
You do not like that.
Do not like it.
No. Okay.
I like cold, crisp, and clear and sunny, or I like hot, clear, and crisp and sunny. You can pick. But this whole wet and windy and rainy and windswept, when will my love return from the war stuff is
the exact weather I grew up in.
my jam. When will my love return from the war?
The two of you can go wander the moors together, have fun.
Why do you think I was like, this con is in Scotland? Sign me up. Please rain all the time. No. Rain the whole time. Like, if they had it in any warm place, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to go.
But it's going to be in August, right? Theoretically, if there's going to be some summer, it will be in August.
Scotland has summer. It's just... you know.
I'm so excited about it.
I know. I am too. I think there's going to be a lot of really fun people there. And Glasgow's a very fun city.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, so let's talk. Oh gosh, we have so much that just your bio brought up that we could talk about as well. Tell us about the Ignite Awards, which are this Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. I've lost all track of time. When are they happening?
21st.
That's
They're on the 21st. This year we're just going to do an announcement,
right? Yep.
For reasons. But the Ignite
Good
Awards
reason.
are
No. Hold on.
awards
But for good reasons, right? Because you all realize that you work too hard and you have your own careers, and this is one step more than you needed to take on. And I'm very proud of you for all deciding that you were going to prioritize your health and careers and not force yourselves to do something else.
Yes.
Good. Continue.
So am I explaining what the awards are? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, just tell well, we have nominations for Ignite Awards, which is great. Tell folks what they are.
The Ignite Awards celebrate like diversity in storytelling, in genre, and not just diversity, but community efforts and participation and those type of things. And so the awards are on Saturday, and I'm quite excited to see who's won.
Yahoo!
Fantastic.
Right? And you and LD Lewis founded these.
Yeah, we founded this in 2020, and I'm really shocked that I don't know how I end up in these things, because I was like, we had watched a certain award show, and we
That's why I'm laughing. Yes. Tell the story.
We had thought that, and there's, I'm insecure about many things, but there's parts of me that are quite a little bit maybe arrogant, where I'm like, wait a second.
Spite is a hell of a motivator, right? It's like, you've done it wrong. Yeah. I can do it better. Move.
Yeah, I can do that. Figure that out. And so we had decided, we were like in August when we had watched that
monstrosity
show. We could do that, and we turned around and did it in a month.
Yep.
Okay, for a month of planning. Yep. So it's been a tradition ever since.
Yep. And I would argue that they are certainly more heartfelt.
Yes.
And they center a different community, which is sorely in need of more centering. And I am very grateful for you and for everyone who works on them.
And on top of that, I'm very grateful not only for that, but for the very specific and very mindful step change in awards culture that I think the Ignites are at the center of. I'm not going to center my own experience or anything in this, but I am acutely aware of the fact that there is a generation of awards finalists who are dealing with damage because of how awards finalists at certain awards shows, and like you, I could hear the C, the A, and the S all on capitals on certain award shows, the way that those finalists are treated, and everything about the Ignites, the way that finalists are treated, the way that the award is dealt with,
the way that you lived every single person who was nominated.
Yeah, the criteria with which stuff is selected, and the fact that everyone who is involved gets named. All of that is the type of thing. It speaks to the thing I look for an awful lot, and a lot of the time I don't see, which is community.
Yeah.
You and everyone on the Ignite team make the community better by doing what you do.
Well, thank you. I think when we do it, first of all, really, we do have help. I do have help. Elle and I have help. It's not like we do it all by ourselves, but the main two people who run it are she and I. And so I oversee all of the communication. Now, I'm not going to say that I always end up doing things perfectly. The theme of everything I do is that I am not a perfect person. No one is a perfect person. And so sometimes there may be a mistake. Sometimes something falls through the cracks, or sometimes we miss something. But we really try our best because we know we're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And it's not about us. I'm doing it, but it's not about me. I am not, it's not a power thing, or it's about centering other people. And so if I'm centering other people and they're hurt, I really don't think I'm doing a job of centering other people.
Yay. Yeah.
Exactly.
We're all just going to look at the camera for a second here and be like, mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Observe our eloquent silences. Yes, precisely. Everybody's going to sip their
I
drinks.
don't know. I think sometimes things are hard and awards are hard to run.
I get that.
They're big jobs. But I think my job is I deal with all of the people. Most of the people-oriented things are me.
Mm-hmm.
And I always try to and I think about people's feelings, and I don't want anyone to be hurt. I don't want to walk out of an interaction making someone feel sad or upset or not worthy as a person. Like that's a very, very central thing for me in everything I do. I don't want to hurt people. And so if you can't run an award and be hurting people and then be like, oh, well, you're hurt, bye. Like, that's a little bit rude.
It's kind of like, so
okay,
did I even need to?
Because you guys are just doing silence, looking at the camera faces, and I don't know what's going on, but okay.
Oh, no. Those of us, those people watching the stream who've heard us discuss these issues before, like, yep, they understand exactly what the faces we are pulling.
Everything that you're talking about shouldn't be a revolutionary act, but it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm missing what you're saying. What are you saying?
Everything that you're talking about, everything that you've just described in the way that you interact with people, shouldn't be a revolutionary act in the space within which you're doing it.
But it is.
Take it from someone who has experienced, two people who've experienced both sides of that particular spectrum.
I don't know why that being nice is revolutionary.
I always describe my job as if people did what they were supposed to do, my career would not exist.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe I was born too anxious and too much of a people pleaser.
No,
I know that
I
it
think
doesn't look like I'm a people pleaser, but I care deeply about not hurting people.
It is not a deep truism when you say that an award that is designed to honor people should honor people in every interaction that you have with the award. That shouldn't be a revolutionary assumption, you know?
And this is what I mean when I say that the work that you and the rest of the Ignite team have done measurably has improved the quality of life in the field within which we all work.
Because when you can show people how it can be done, then people who don't do it don't have excuses.
Right. So now I'm kind of getting the vibe of what's going on here. and what to say? First of all, thank you. I'm glad that it's coming across that way, and I hope we continue to get better at it because the sun is coming out. And also, like, you know, because we can always improve.
I love your little...
But also, I do notice sometimes that you see, and it's not just awards, there are other things in genre that, you know, a person or a group sets out and they do it a certain way, and then others continue to do their thing in the way that they've always done. And people are like, well, why are you doing it that way? These people are doing it this way. But sometimes there's a disconnect. They don't see, or they don't adapt, or they don't take the lesson, or they ignore it because they think, oh, that kind of person is doing it, and we don't have to pay attention to them because they're not important.
Nailed it.
That's a whole nother hour of conversation we could probably have offline in an establishment that serves beverages.
Possibly somewhere in Glasgow. Our chat has exclusively revealed two things which may be of tremendous interest to you in Glasgow, by the way. Firstly, the city has a necropolis.
Oh, yeah! I'm going to that!
Brilliant.
Okay.
And is also covered in Art Deco architecture.
Oh! You know, chat people who I can't see.
That's fine.
Deco. Did you say Art Deco? Is that
Art Deco.
That is my favorite architecture stuff.
Brilliant.
Like, absolute favorite.
Fantastic.
That sounds great.
Because
So
everybody has a favorite architecture style. That's a normal thing.
I do.
what you like? You like concrete brutalism, don't you?
I'm fond of concrete brutalism. I'm also fond of kind of Mondrian style color panels and all that kind of stuff.
What's Mondrian style color
color
panels?
panels?
I know a lot of people don't like brutalism, but I because it's a movement, obviously it has a point.
Right? And I mean, I spent a lot. I went to university in a city that has the most misguided building I've ever seen in it, where from basically from about 300 feet up, it's a really very nice stylized representation of an arrow being fired from a bow into the heart of the city. And from the ground, it's a box.
Right.
And that's it.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So, chat, capitalism is going to exert itself one more time. So I have a request for you. We're about to step away for a couple minutes to take an ad break. Why don't you start thinking about any questions that you might want us to ask Suzan? And we will come back in a moment or two with more favorite architecture. Oh, and if you have like Art Deco things about Glasgow that you want us to pass along to her,
Yes.
that would be great too. So why don't we take one more ad break and we'll be back in a moment or two. you are like
And we're back.
inside this giant like monoculture building, and you're like your entire life is being run by a computer.
Well, it's great.
But part of it is like filling out forms, and they like included the forms in the packet of the game, and I love filling out forms.
You like that?
Okay,
You're the complete opposite person.
right? I am like anxiety override mom friend. This was the nickname that was given to me because, like, have you ever gone to a meal with like a group of friends and everybody's like, I don't know what to order and what are you going to get and blah blah blah. I am the person who grabs everybody's menus and takes the waiter and goes, we'll have 2 of those and these are everybody's drinks orders. Go.
It should also be pointed out, Marguerite loves forms so much. There's a tabletop role-playing game called Mothership that had a very large supplement fund a few months ago. And
this whole spiral notebook adventure of like legal drama with like legal paperwork that you could fill out, and I was very excited.
And we have it, and she's so happy.
I'm a very special kind of nerd, but I am my kind of nerd. Okay, there we go.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that exists in the world. That there is a person who enjoys the thing that strikes terror into me.
You can have all my rainy days. I will fill out your form.
That seems like a very fair exchange.
You, if I could send you every form, even like little ones that require like 3 answers, I don't want to do it. Like, leave me alone.
Like, why? Why must I fill out forms? We're back, by the way. Absolutely. We were talking about paranoia and Marguerite's love of filling out forms.
Yes.
Because nothing brings me joy quite as much as like tick boxes, apparently. Like, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, and whenever you complete a quest, it gives you this just gorgeous, shiny gold check mark.
And it fills you with joy every time.
They fill me with joy. Gold complete check marks fill me with joy.
Grim, yes, it's exactly that. Mothership is an old school RPG turned into alien-inspired horror. And also, to answer your earlier question about what the movie was, it's called Totally Killer.
Totally Killer. All right, let me write that. I was not paying attention. I thought it's proper stuff where there's barely any gaps between timbers. We were talking about architectural styles, but I missed if we had questions for Susan in the chat. So I will scroll back. Whilst he says this.
Why no questions for Susan?
Why does he ask whilst? I don't understand that word.
That whilst.
Whilst.
I don't get it. I don't get it. There's too many.
We were talking about.
I like it.
Thank you. We were talking about films.
Go hunt the werewolf on the moor, you two. Leave me alone.
And earlier today, because I try and watch a horror movie a day in October, and I never quite make it, but I always find some fun stuff. I watched a thing from earlier in the year called The Invitation, which you might.
Oh, I saw that.
What did you think of it?
Okay, so I saw it a while ago. This was the one where they went to the party, right?
Yes.
And then all this game started happening, but it wasn't a good game.
No, different one. This is New York-based student on a whim fills out find out your ancestry form.
Oh
forms,
no, I haven't seen that.
Horror forms again, and is informed that she is in fact distantly related to a very large, extremely posh English noble family, who invite her over to the isolated mansion.
Oh, you see? Okay, listen. You don't do that. You don't go.
Right.
Okay, there are so many plot lines about this. Like, that's a G.I. Joe cartoon, right? Just don't go do that.
What could possibly happen at Howell Manor? I'm sure it'll be fine.
Right, exactly.
You know?
So we'd have one comment in the chat, which is, Susan, your vibes are fire. Where do you get your ties?
I stole this from a man.
Steal from the patriarchy is the valid response, right? Where did you get your look?
Thank you, though.
Stole it from the patriarchy.
I said to the man, I like your tie. Can I have it?
And it worked.
And he said yes.
Brilliant.
Because
I love
of course
it.
he did.
He says, the person who wrote that comment said, I burst out laughing and clapped.
I mean, I like bow ties.
You have a bunch of really good bow ties. Yep.
Right? But I find that bow ties, they come a little bit too large for my neck.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't sit well. So I like skinny, men's ties.
See, it
And
doesn't
I
look
take
skinny
them-
on you though, because it's proportionate with you.
Yeah, it's a smaller tie.
Gotcha.
You know, I would go to like a children's like a boys children's dress shop and get like a tie. Like that's my size.
I gotcha. I love it. G.I. Joe cartoon comparison to a horror was not something I was expecting. We need to talk about Destro's family history at some point and how he has Cthulhu in his basement. But we'll do that at another time.
At another time, yes.
I don't... People are just enjoying your vibe, Susan. I'm not getting a whole lot of questions. Quick, tell us something you want.
No questions, just I like your vibes. What is that?
Right? Exactly. That's not a bad thing. That's totally a good thing.
You're also getting tie knot suggestions.
Yes, exactly.
Doc says, I guess you could do a half Windsor knot instead of full Windsor if you want it skinnier.
I don't know what that means. I have no tie lingo.
I'm quite bad at it, so every time I have to tie it, I have to put on the YouTube video to watch and do it at the same time because I forget.
That's fine. That's totally valid.
Every time.
I have a very particular type of bread that I have to do that with as well, and each time I get 8 minutes into the video and I'm like, you know what? I should write this down. And then I don't.
Yeah. I want to get a cravat.
Oh,
nice.
You would rock a cravat.
What kind?
I think I would.
Yeah, you would.
There are not very many men walking around wearing them, though, so I can't steal them. Like,
true.
Or women. Nobody's wearing them.
My suspicion is that the cravat-wearing population of a Glasgow-based Worldcon would be statistically fairly high, so I like your chances.
We're just gonna find you wandering the halls.
Stealing clothing from people at Worldcon.
I was gonna say, we're gonna see you wandering the halls stealing menswear. This is gonna be hilarious.
I mean, you know.
That's a G.I. Joe comic. We'll come back to that, Grim. That for front of house culinary, and I had to use documentary. Nice, exactly. There are also, we're being told that there's plenty of vintage clothing stores in Glasgow that you could shop as well.
Basically, Glasgow is going to go well for you.
So what I'm getting here is people want me to do a walking tour and they want me to go shopping and buy men's clothes.
And go to a necropolis.
So far, that seems
these people.
Right? I mean,
they're amazing.
Sounds like a busy itinerary. You might just barely have time to go to a convention while you're at it.
To be honest, the convention is just
the excuse.
The ploy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The tax write-off reason. Precisely. Exactly. Okay. It doesn't sound like we have any other questions in the chat, which is fine.
I have one.
Okay. You ask us one last question, then we'll wrap it up.
My question is this. Is there any particular story you have written to date that you would say is the best possible place for someone who has not read anything by you to start?
I think that is an interesting question because I write dark fiction and horror.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people ask me, it's an interesting question because it's okay, do I consider people's reactions or do I consider what I think is the best piece for people to read? Descaling is the story that I get. It's been out, it came out last year in October. It is a story that I get the most mail. And not that I get tons of mail. I'm not getting tons of mail. No, I'm not getting a lot. But when I get mail or when I get commentary or when I get someone saying to me, this story meant something to me, it's
that one.
Apple a PC. Yeah. All the time. And it's interesting because I get very, very personal, confessional reactions to that story. It's not just often like I enjoyed it or it made me cry. I've gotten people who are grieving, saying that they related to the story. A lot of people who are dealing with gender message me and talk to me about how it made them feel. And then people who are taking care of someone or a caretaker often. So it gets a lot of different reactions from different people depending on what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
So that one I think people relate to, but they also get mad at me and yell and cry. And not those people, different people. They yell at me and say I made them cry, and how dare I? And they say this is positive, so it might make you cry.
It make you cry, quote,
read that?
appreciative. Exactly.
Yes, but this sorry to interrupt you.
No, do.
I think Laughter Among the Trees is the story that was the most difficult for me to write, and the story that disturbs me the most.
Yeah, that one is
So if you want a
spectacular.
horror, Susan, it's that one.
And both of these are in Skin Thief, are they? Hold up the book for the chat real quick, would you? Yeah. So both of those short stories, folks, are in Susan's new collection, Skin Thief. Skin Thief is out from Neon Hemlock. There was a question in the chat about, do you have a preferred vendor for where they should buy the books? And
okay. Oh, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, do it.
So because it's a small press, it is on Amazon and those places and Bookshop and stuff. But if you want like the ebook, Dave has it out currently at Neon Hemlock. It's coming to all those other places. You can get the physical book almost anywhere. But it's at Neon Hemlock. But the ebook right now is only at Neon Hemlock, but it's going to be everywhere shortly.
Cool.
Yep, I put the link for that in the chat for everybody, and that's where we got ours, because we backed Neon Hemlock's 2023 year. And then,
is that the book? What? You keep holding that up, and
oh, it's my Kindle.
Oh, I'm like, you keep holding it up, and I'm like, what is that?
I'm like, this is my Kindle. This is where I hold every book in the world that I want, and I can read it in bed, and it doesn't hurt when it falls on my face, because I usually drop it on my face when I'm reading.
I do that with my phone all the time and drop it on my face.
Exactly. All right, last question. What's your favorite 19th century short horror story? Like, do you have a favorite Gothic story? Doesn't have to be a story. It could be a book too, I guess.
I really like Poe a lot. I read a lot of Poe when I was younger. And I wrote a retelling of Cask of the Amontillado. And I really love that story because it's just, the protagonist is just so like, they're pissed off and they're like, yeah. I hate this guy and I am going to kill him. And I just,
and it's unapologetic about it. Fun fact, that's
you. Like, it's
right?
So I'm going to kill you.
That story enters the public domain next year.
Right. And but I've already kind of done a I do little masked retellings, right? I've done a retelling of it. I might take the thing completely, but I just find what was that movie? Pale Blue Eye? Was it called The Palest Blue Eye?
Yeah, the
Pale Blue
Christian
Eye.
Bale. He's Edgar Allan Poe. He's a cult one. Yeah.
Actor in that. He played Poe, and he was just so perfect. I loved him. He was like this gothic little like.
Permanently slightly pained stick insect of a dude.
Yeah, I loved him. He was my favorite part of the whole movie. I didn't even know what else was going on. I was just watching the guy be Poe. But I really like Cask of the Amontillado a lot. And I just love it that it's just unabashed. I hate this guy. I'm going to kill him.
And get away with it.
Yeah, and watch me slowly like fool him, and he's got this jester hat on, and it's ridiculous.
I know, it's glorious.
And also has wine. I like wine.
Nice. Okay, so let's do a recap for everybody in the audience. Please buy Susan's amazing book. That would be great. It's available for free on Hemlock. Exactly.
We end with begging. Is that
how many like messages I'm gonna get on Twitter after this going, what was that book? Where can I buy that book? Great, exactly. Okay, please buy Susan's book. It's amazing. You will enjoy it. Both of the short stories all the short stories we've discussed tonight, actually.
Yes, are in here.
I keep holding up my Kindle like you just
all the short stories are in Marguerite's Kindle.
I need like a green screen cover for my Kindle. Be like, this book, right? That's a great idea. And then next year you've got a novella coming out, and you're working on a fabulous novel, which we are looking forward to.
And in a couple weeks there will be a Caribbean issue coming out from
yes.
Strange Horizons.
Thank you for reminding me. So Strange Horizons is releasing a special issue of Caribbean fiction, edited by you, and do you have a co-editor?
Yes, Marika
Brilliant.
Bailey.
There we go. Perfect. And please ignore this trowel. It is merely a symbol of my Freemasonry. Ah, yes. Okay, we're still talking about cask. I love it.
The chat is still on Cask of Amontillado, so you have nice wine in
They
here.
have good taste.
I should just go into this room and not turn around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here.
I just love it. Like, it's so, like, yes, follow me. Oh, yes, we're going 60 miles into this thing, and, and go stand in the dark, and...
No self-preservation instinct.
Here, let me chain you up.
No, it's fine. You're drunk. It's a
You'll
hoot,
enjoy
right?
the wine more now that you're handcuffed.
Okay, now I want somebody to do a slightly BDSM kinky retelling of that story.
With 2 episodes into House of Usher, I like your chances.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do. Oh, we haven't even talked about House of Usher. Oh my gosh. I saw...
Okay, so I
You
can't tell
watch
you.
the last episode first. It made me laugh.
I was sitting there, right? Okay, listen. I'm gonna be really honest. I had 2 beers, okay? So I had 2 beers, okay? And I put on the show. But for some reason, I put on episode 8, right? And I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay. Like, it was funny because I wasn't suspicious that it was the end. I was like, all right, so there's this happening.
You're like, this
Okay, and
is
I'm
starting
not
hard.
spoiling
Okay.
Yeah, it's going hard, and this stuff is happening, and then okay, I'm not spoiling anything because in the actual story,
Oh no, come back. Susan,
Fall
come
of
back.
the House of Usher,
Yeah, there we
the
go. You,
house falls.
Yes.
Here,
Right.
I'm here. In the Fall of the House of Usher, the Poe story, the house falls.
right.
Okay, so this is not a spoiler. This happens. So that kind of happened, and then I was like, how does the first show in a series start like that? Where are they going from here if everyone is already dead and the house fell down? This doesn't make sense writing wise. And then I was a little bit drunk, and then I just looked at it and I was like, oh, this is episode 8. So I watched the ending first. So that was it. So I'm like, I don't need to watch the rest. I know what happened.
I know how this turns out.
All right, well, we're 2 episodes in, and we are enjoying how very, very angry and transparently angry Mike Flanagan, the writer of the story, is, because some of the writing is just like straight to camera. Yeah, this sucks, and fuck you, Netflix. It's really fun.
I'm a big fan of his wife. And what really upset me was because I watched the last episode and she wasn't in it, and now I'm not going to watch the rest, so I've missed Kate.
Ah.
We've only seen a little bit of her character so far, but the vibes are exquisite. You would enjoy 100%.
I know, I enjoy everything she does. So
several times watching that, I only realized the episode title when the obvious Poe reference things started happening. I think they're all going to be titles. So far, we've had
Mask of the Red
Death, and the first one was I can't remember, but it was definitely a line from the Nevermore poem. This has been delightful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Me.
I really appreciate it.
I enjoyed this because it was really chaotic.
Just for you. We made it super, super relaxed and super chaotic. They're all like this. This is always like this.
Again, I always say this. I don't mean this in a bad way. This has been the most chaotic interview.
Great.
No, good, because so often interviews are so like, well, yes, I must now expound upon my craft in such a way that can be recorded in a magazine, and that and that's fine, but like, this is the vibe of like conversation, and this is like how we like to hang out and engage with people and talk about the stuff that we love. So the chaos is compulsory, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Well, I had a lovely time. Thank you, guests, for listening to my stuff.
Your stuff is amazing. Please go buy Susan's stuff.
Please go buy Susan's stuff.
And definitely follow them on
Back to
social
begging.
media if you like it. Because I'm sorry, you were the reason that I picked up the new an album recently, and I can't remember which one it is, but you were tweeting about some song you were listening to. Hang on a second. Which was
a
it?
lot of songs.
I know. That's why I'm like, I better look this up. Hold on. I just bought an album because of we were talking about it. What was it? Halsey. If I can't have love, I want power.
I love Halsey. Oh my god.
I've encountered, okay, dirty confession. Most of how Marguerite learns about contemporary music these days is TikTok audios and movie trailers, because I don't listen to the radio, so I don't engage with a lot of like contemporary modern music. But you were tweeting about her. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. And then I listened to the song and I'm like, I must have this immediately. Like literally I grabbed Alasdair. I'm like, you need to go buy me this now.
There's a short film. She made a short film. All the videos for the songs are like a gothic short film, and the story continues in each. It's an hour long, and this Halsey, like I know people are like that. You probably hear Halsey and you're like, oh, it's one of those pop people. No, if I can't have love, I want power is a like
fucking anthem, right?
Yeah, the whole
Right.
thing is great. And you think Halsey and you're like, oh, it's sugary pop. 9 Inch Nails produced the album. That's why it sounds like that.
That does not surprise me.
Okay.
It sounds very...
Add Halsey to the list of things that we are going to discuss in Glasgow after you've done your Art Deco and Necropolis tour. But before you go vintage store cravat shopping. Put it in your itinerary, right?
But listen, people, if you want to go vintage store tie shopping with me, we'll have a little outing.
I love it. I love it. That sounds brilliant. All right, everybody, we're going to take one last break and then come back for a couple of shenanigans as we say goodnight to Susan. Thank you very much for joining us. Please buy her book.
See you soon, folks.
We'll be right back. Hey, everybody.
Hey, folks.
Oh, we should move this slightly out of the way. I think we were having the cutting in and out issue again with Susan, which is why.
Thank you so much, Susan. Oh my God.
That was fun. That was delightful and energetic and chaos. And I can put this back where it belongs now.
Just
high energy.
the immaculate vibes. And where did you get the tie? I stole it from a man.
I'm like, words of wisdom to live by, right? Totally. Yes, Dean, please tell me everything about. I don't want to. How do you pronounce it?
Hosier.
Is it Hosier?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to say the name wrong, but I have 2 albums now, and most of them are songs I recognize from TikTok audios, and they have very like, if you wish to die with me, hunted by the Fae vibes, which I enjoy.
There's one particular line which sneaks up on me every time from one song, and I think it's "They will find us in a week when the cattle show fear."
Yes, I like that song.
Fuck me! Oh my God!
Oh, yeah. It's a very sweet duet about 2 decomposing bodies, or a decomposing body and somebody visiting a decomposing body. I'm not quite sure entirely if it's a Romeo and Juliet situation or what's going on, but it has gothic vibes, shall we say.
You know, if I had somehow...
It's haunted Tuatha De Danann music, for freaking sure, yes.
If I had not instantly figured out that he was, you know, from an adjacent neighborhood to mine by that point, I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Celt.
Celt as the day is long, for sure. I enjoy it. It's good, and a lot of it has fun TikTok-y vibes, which is good. And the foxes have known our taste.
And the foxes have
I remember
known
that
our
line.
taste.
Yes, exactly.
Because I do this thing where a lot of the time I file away titles, and when the cattle show fear is just one of those, oh, I could use that one.
Yeah, that is a good. That is good.
I have a friend who writes not quite horror, veterinarian-based crime fiction, and if Greg has not heard the phrase "when the cattle show fear" and gone, I could use that.
Yeah.
I will be amazed.
Exactly. And then the other new album. Okay, so I talked about I got Halsey because of Susan.
Yeah.
And then, like, literally, I grabbed Alasdair one afternoon this week, and I was like, I need you to buy me these 4 albums now.
And they did.
2 Halsey albums, 2 Hosier albums, and then I bought an M83 album, Hurry Up,
Yes.
We're Dreaming, which is brand new to me. But I've never known peace like the damp grass that used me. I've never known hunger like these insects that feast on me. 1,000 teeth and yours among them. I know our hunger's appeased, our hearts beats becoming so. Right? I mean, it
just, dude.
Yes, exactly.
Dude.
And then M83, which is new to me, but
would you like me to tell them?
No, I can get through this.
Okay.
So
you're among friends.
I love playing Baldur's Gate 3. The voice actor who plays Halfdan, which is the character my dwarf paladin is currently romancing.
Would you like to show them your phone?
Yes. This cute little guy.
Just a little guy.
Little guy and his ducks. Is he not adorable? Anyway, the actor, not voice actor, because they did mocap. The actor released a playlist for the character, which was. I think he described it as acoustic, sentimental, and horny, which is like vibes. M83 was new to me, but it included Blur's Girls and Boys, Unholy, you know, that TikTok
which I still need to get for you.
Yes, you do. I have a whole TikTok playlist that I collate all my TikTok favorites. Paradise City, and it had Tim Curry singing I'm Coming Home from the end of Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was just one of those like, oh my God, the vibes, they are immaculate. I have not even seen Neil Newborn's Astarian playlist yet, but I listened to that playlist and I need M83 in my life. So I bought a whole lot of new music this week.
And Ducky's just recommended Dry the River. A bit more depression and biblical in Hosier. Cool, we'll give it a shot. Thank you. The other place you may have heard M83, if, like me, you...
Marguerite B. Baldur's Gate 3 frothing on main. I have not yet begun to froth, my friend. We will take that privately. Exactly.
The other place you will have heard M83 is the soundtrack to, I believe, part 2 of the unofficial Tom Cruise tries out interesting science fiction for a few years whilst Midlife Crisis 3 bubbles up movie Oblivion, because they were all over the soundtrack for that.
Dean, you started a Dark Urge playthrough. That is playthrough number 3. I'm still finishing playthrough number 1. I killed Raphael earlier this week, and then I had to reload to show Alasdair the combat. And then we started singing that goddamn song for the last several days. Because
on more than one occasion, one of us has walked past the office and just gone, dung. Dung, 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 dung.
Yeah, it plays in the car where little I'm dragging you kicking and screaming whether you like it or not. But
I prefer the term skipping merrily.
Skipping merrily. He's skipping merrily alongside with me, yes. So, oh my gosh. I'm trying to okay, so that's what we've been doing this week. It's been hell. But we, tripped merrily along. I killed Raphael. That was choice. And I also robbed him blind, which was even more amazing, personally. And now I'm highly recommend Abstract Psychopomp from Hosier's newest album for the Beautiful Dead Things.
Thank you.
Do I have that song
you
on
do
my
not.
phone? No, I do not. You'll have to put that on the acquisition list. Great.
Yeah, okay. Good.
You're on playthrough number 2. So playthrough number 2 for me is that I'm either going to play Karlach or build a Bard Tav and romance Karlach. I'm tempted to play Karlach and romance Lae'zel because I think that is a very interesting dynamic.
As I said earlier, if not wife, then why wife-shaped?
Yes, exactly. It's like, play wife?
Or be wife.
It's like, be wife or wife? I have not yet decided. Because, apparently if you do the playthrough from one of your companions, like at night when you sleep, you get a lot of internal monologue about like how they're feeling and what they're processing, which I think sounds really interesting. Sounds cool. And then my third playthrough, I'm probably gonna try a Dark Urge.
It will last 11 seconds.
I know, I'm gonna do one involuntary bad thing and I'm gonna reload because I can't harm people. It hurts me. It physically hurts me. But that is the goal because I want to know more about that story and like how it interacts with the things that I have encountered in Act 3 so far. I'm romancing Gale in my first playthrough, okay? On the Dark Urge playthrough is going to be an Asterian romance for obvious reasons. Right? Exactly. That's why I want to do a Dark Urge playthrough, so that I can romance Asterian. Because my approval with Asterian is very low, and I'm currently in Cazador's palace, and I'm very worried about how it's going to go. But I will do my best. We will see. He has such wet feral cat energy. You calm down, child. Yes, exactly. Very, very much so. Right, we're going to do shenanigans now before I run out of voice and before it goes much later. All right. So, our shenanigans this evening. Almost be when I find the buttons. Yeah. I started my second playthrough because I'm putting off going to Cazador's Palace.
I'll bet.
Well, I've just started it so far, so good. So you're saying I shouldn't do a playthrough of one of my companions as my first one either? I don't recommend that. No, I think the recommended first experience is an original Tav of any variety. And then, well, for me, this is the first point-and-click computer game I've really ever played. I'm used to console experiences. I'm not used to this style of like turn-based combat, and I am not versant in D&D. So there, like the first 40 hours, I basically couldn't stop playing because I was acquiring skill so quickly. And I got through those 40 hours. I'm like, do I want to restart? No, I'll push through. And then I got to the 100-hour mark and I'm like, okay, now I feel like I know what I'm doing. Like tactically, like how to interact with the world, how to like investigate things and like a vague sense of what order in which I should do things. Do I want to start? No, I want to push forward. I am now on 200 hours in this playthrough and I'm not done yet. So I'm going to finish this playthrough, and I'm literally keeping a physical list of all the things I know I missed or did wrong and want to change for the next time. So what I'm saying is there's a great deal of replay value here, but I think you will have the intended experience if you start with an original tab. I did not multi-class. I just played straight up Paladin, so that you can learn enough about the game if that's the experience you want to have. If you want to like experience the story through the point of view that Larian is expecting you to have, you need an original character.
Grim, as an observer, I think you're absolutely right.
Scratch, Dean, I'm so sorry.
I think you are going to be playing through 600 hours of this thing to get the full experience.
I think you're looking at 3 playthroughs minimum if you want to get the entire narrative experience. And you can play the game through from each of the 6 companions in your party's point of view. So there are 8 playthroughs available. I think somebody calculated that there are 17,000 possible ending world states based on decisions you make, which characters you have, your interactions with them, major decisions that you make in the game, etc., etc. It is freaking huge.
That reminds me. Earlier today, Austin Wintory, who
17,000 possible world states. Yeah.
Earlier today, Austin Wintory, who's one of our favorite composers, who did the songs for Stray Gods,
Yes.
posted the flow diagram for one song.
Oh, yeah?
It's a nightmare.
Oh, I want to see it.
There are 2 secret outcomes to every song
Secret outcomes.
that have to be triggered can only be triggered if you hit specific lines. There are something like 33,000 possible combinations.
Good God.
And he just posted...
Branching narrative games just blow my mind from a logistical perspective, like how you really put them together.
I've seen Twine documents you would not believe.
On the coast of Horizon, off the coast of Horizon. Okay, exactly.
There are not enough post-it notes in the world for this shit.
Marguerite, I need to know if you have a main party. As in, by default, these are the people I prefer to run around with.
Well, obviously your boy.
The only main party decision I make is I tend not to let the love interest out of the party. And I learned in reading around that has an effect for one particular storyline.
Which you dodged, and I'm very happy you did.
Oh, okay. I'm trying not to go into spoilers here, but there's a main world event where someone is abducted. And it can be someone in your party, or it can be one of a couple of NPCs, depending on how you interact with them and how friendly they are towards you. Is this a British guy and an American woman? Nope, I don't know what that's about. It's possible to have your love interest abducted. And the way I would have burned Baldur's Gate to the ground if that had happened, I would have caused my paladin to lose her oath to go after rescuing the love interest if that had been the case. So yeah, my default party is have love interest in party, and then I tend to pick the 2 people who have backgrounds which I think will be interacted with in a particular scene. Well, currently I am in Cazador's palace, so Asterion is in the party, obviously. When I was dealing with Raphael, I took Karlak and Will, because they have a Vernus experience, and I wanted to see how they were going to interact with that.
Got to love Mama K.
Yeah, exactly. I've already been through enough with Gale. I do not need him being kidnapped, right? Okay, hey, you want a funny Gale story? So you know how they add that little icon to your toolbar? And I'm like, oh, he has a new power. What's this? Click. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Dean, right? Exactly. Okay, that ended that combat real fast. But I did not take Gale to that particular combat because I wanted to avoid the opportunity for that experience to be, to occur. Yes, exactly. We could have a whole nother couple of hours talking about Baldur's Gate.
And we might.
I should do a Baldur's Gate
You
stream.
really should.
We should just
really
do
should.
hi, we're here to dork about the game and share our favorite screenshots and fan arts and AO3.
Honestly, I think you should stream playing it for a couple hours. There it is.
Dean. Oh, yeah, we should have Dean on to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. Hey, Ducky, would you write that down?
I had a feeling.
Yeah, okay.
There we
Fine.
go.
Let's do a shenanigan quick before I forget.
Do you want to be the astronaut or the NASA employee? All right. Okay.
All right, let me put the thing in the chat again. Here we go. Shenanigans. Okay. Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Loading a pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Loading a pistol. Moon stuck in a time loop. Do you have extra ammo? This will not be enough.
Enough for what?
Finding extra slip of ammo, pocketing it, and getting back on the rocket ship. Don't worry about it.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Emerging from supply closet with a space harpoon, getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop.
Oh,
hey, you guys are back early.
Back early?
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
What?
How did you know what I was going to say?
Punching in keypad code for base evacuation signal, getting back on the rocket ship. Told you, Moon stuck in a time loop.
Beep.
Red
Beep.
warning lights begin
Beep.
flashing.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Rifling through bookshelf of operating instructions, selecting one that says airlock manual override instructions. Getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Moon stuck in a time loop. Hey, do you have anything to eat? I am starving. Opens random drawer, finds nothing, closes it.
A time. We don't have food in here. We can't eat in the control room. Just the break room. My lunch is like in 10 minutes, though, and if my lunch is actually still there and not stolen again, I can share it with.
Nah, that's okay. No time. Loading a pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Oh, too much time. But thanks. Anyway, okay, bye. Alarm begins blaring.
Well, wait, a time? Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Yep.
Sitting
down next to NASA employee. So, do you ever, wonder what the meaning of life is? Secrets of the universe?
Aren't you supposed to be on the moon?
Alarm begins blaring.
Hey, what the hell is that?
That's the code red override klaxon. Moon stuck in a time loop. Oh, and there's an explosion imminent. But don't worry, we can deal with that tomorrow. So, do you have any siblings? Pulls beer out of spacesuit, cracks tab. Want a drink?
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Do you know Frank in IT?
What?
Do you know Frank, who works in IT?
Yeah, but why are you guys back so early?
Moon stuck in a time loop. Call Frank. Tell him there's a virus in the security patch and the system's compromised. Then get the hell out of the base.
Wait, what? Where are you going?
Loading a pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Back to the moon, which is stuck in a time loop. Call Frank.
Picks that phone. Straight to voicemail. I wonder what... Alarm begins blaring.
God.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Grim silence.
I said you guys are back early. Hey, what are you...
Randomly opening drawers until they find a pair of scissors and some duct tape. Getting back on the rocket ship. Moon is stuck in a time loop.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Loading a pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in the time loop. Sticks head back out the door of the rocket ship. By the way, if you go to the break room in exactly 2 minutes and 45 seconds, you'll catch the person who's been stealing your lunches for the past 2 weeks.
Wait, who is it?
Alarms begin blaring.
Running for the break room. Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Sits down, sighs, pulls a beer out from their spacesuit. Moon is stuck in a time loop.
Okay, and hang on, how'd you get a beer? You can't have that in here.
What do you know about Project Floyd?
I mean, the usual amount? I'm not really on the project anymore. Why?
Alarm begins blaring. Come with me to the rocket ship. We don't have much time.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Loading a pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop. See you tomorrow, maybe.
What? Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
Rubs hand over face, loads pistol before getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop. And you should call your mother, like you've been meaning to, and tell her you're not actually mad and that you will come to dinner tonight. You're going to be hungry.
Wait, what? What? What do you mean, Mom? Why am I gonna be? Alarm starts blaring. Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What?
I was reading the wrong one. Sorry. Grabbing 2 pistols, an extra box of ammo, a pair of scissors, some duct tape, a space harpoon, and a booklet of operating instructions that says airlock manual override instructions. Starting to get back on the rocket ship, but dropping everything with a horrendous clatter. Fuck! God! Damn! Moon stuck in a time loop.
Alarm starts blaring. Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Moon stuck in a time loop.
What? Oh, hey, where'd you get that duffel bag?
Grabbing 2 pistols, an extra box of ammo, a pair of scissors, some duct tape, a space harpoon, and a booklet of operating instructions that says airlock manual override instructions, shoving them into the bag and getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop.
Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Grabs NASA employee and kisses them passionately.
What? What?
Loading a single pistol and getting back on the rocket ship. Moon stuck in a time loop, sweetheart.
What?
A time loop. I love you. Get out of the base. Stay alive.
NASA employee presses finger slips, confused but intrigued as the alarm begins blaring. Oh, home, what a regular day at the office. Alarm begins blaring. What the hell is that? Oh, hey, you guys are back early.
Grabs NASA employee and kisses them passionately.
Wait, what? Hey, where'd you get that duffel bag?
Grabbing 2 pistols, an extra box of ammo, a pair of scissors, some duct tape, a space harpoon, and a booklet of operating instructions that says airlock manual override instructions. Shoving them into the bag, then cupping NASA employee's cheek with free hand. Moon stuck in a time loop.
The moon's stuck in a what?
A time loop, sweetheart, but we don't have much time ourselves, so you have to listen to me right now.
Sweetheart?
In 2 minutes and a few seconds, you need to go into the break room and find Frank.
Wait, Frank from IT?
Yeah.
How do you know he's going to be in the break room? Can I just call him at his desk right now?
How do I know this? Because one, time loop, okay, and also because he may be the guy who has been stealing your lunch for 2 weeks.
Bastard, I knew it!
But that's not what's important right now. Hey, listen to me. Go in there, catch him red-handed with your burrito and tell him lunch is on you forever. If he goes right now and checks the last security patch because there is a virus and the whole system is compromised, then you need to get the hell out of this base, okay?
Oh, okay. And what about you?
Cocking a pistol and getting back into rocket ship with duffel bag. Me? I'm gonna shoot for the moon.
That's gorgeous. Epilogue. So, how many loops in total?
I mean, it was hard to keep track. Somewhere around 6 months, if I had to guess.
Damn.
Yeah.
And in those 6 months, the best singer you came up with was Shoot for the Moon?
Hey, you know what? I had some other stuff on my mind.
I mean, I guess. It sounded like you found time to flirt with me each time.
Yeah, like I said, other stuff on my mind.
They look at each other, blush, and look away.
So, you're sure your mom is cool with me coming over for dinner?
Can't make the day any weirder. Plus, I owe you for ratting out Frank, right?
He did help us save the world. I mean, we can't be too mad at him.
I've had a little while to get over it. I might need some more time. It wasn't even your food.
Okay, that's fair. What if I buy you lunch to make up for it?
When?
Tomorrow?
Well, I'll have leftovers from my mom, and you might too if you play your cards right. Day after tomorrow?
Honestly, any time is good for me.
Fade to black.
I love that.
Oh!
I love that.
I was not expecting that. It's really sweet. Oh! And we cast ourselves as the
Quite
exactly
well.
correct characters
Quite
as
well.
Oh, that's such a high note to go in on. That's really sweet.
Aw.
It makes you happy too. I can see.
Aw.
Very cute. Thank you. Thank you very much for finding that, Ducky.
Yes.
That was delightful.
It's been a rough month, and getting the opportunity to deliver a line as good as me, I'm going to shoot for the moon, like full on.
It's such a you line. That's something you would say. Oh,
Excuse me, I got
Buried away. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That was delightful. All right. It is past 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, Wendy. I hope you're in bed.
Sorry, Wendy.
Let us tell everybody what's coming up.
Fucking all sorts,
Oh,
man.
yes.
Fucking all sorts.
So that's Wednesday. This Friday, the full lid will be out as usual. It's not the Halloween issue. That's coming
No,
up.
the Halloween issue is next week. This week we have all kinds of stuff, including a great found footage horror novella.
Ooh.
Oh, it's really good. And 4 full-length documentaries about movies as the interstitial, put together by an incredible YouTuber.
Nice. Then on Sunday, we are playing the most disgustingly wholesome, wonderful game. It's called Toem, Toem. There was a rave in the forest. It was a rave with bears and
DJ Hype Moose.
And there was a DJ Hype Moose, and there was fireworks, and we just go around and take pictures, and there are many, many pets to pet. It is wonderful. We're having a great time with that on Sunday. But we'll probably wrap it up on Sunday. It's not a very, doesn't
We're
look to be a very
20% in.
lengthy
We've
game.
got about another 3
By the
weeks.
way, I need the Bear Rave song. Have you found it for me yet?
And the entire soundtrack. Do you want me to pick that up for you at the same time as this new Hosier album
Yes,
you want?
exactly.
And also the
Precisely.
one from Ducky that has been recommended.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then next week, join us for a thrilling installment of Marguerite yells at Johnny Sims as the narrator, because the full release of Slay the Princess comes out in 2 days, 3 days.
You're back early. Princess is slayed. What? Princess is slayed. Let's fucking go.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. There will absolutely be Marguerite yelling at the narrator and not doing what the narrator tells her to do. Absolutely.
And stop and think for a moment about the fact that the demo for this thing had 10 freaking hours of content in it.
It is time to wife the princess for sure. And I do believe they've added a whole bunch more
There are several other incarnations of the
Additional-
princess.
incarnations.
Yes.
So join us
Time to see my wife.
as we go and visit the wife. Yes, precisely. So, yes, that will be next Wednesday. It will be Princess slaying time, and I can't. And then we will talk more about Baldur's Gate 3, because maybe I will finish the game by then.
Yeah, that ain't
I
happening.
probably have at least 30 or 40 more hours in this sucker, for sure.
So you might have finished it by next Wednesday.
Yes, exactly. Dean, I haven't gone to the circus yet. I've saved it. I'm going to deal with Cazador. I'm going to deal with Gortash. I'm going to deal with Raphael.
You
And
have
then I'm taking my traumatized golden retrievers to the circus to let them relax. Exactly.
you have yet to get context for, oh, this is lovely. What fun. I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yes, I think I'm going to take Asterion and Karlak and house them to the circus. That will be Task of the Princess, right? I love it. That will be my plan. I think that's everything.
I think it is.
I think it is.
Thank you so much for joining us.
For to join
us.
to
this
join
evening.
us.
Moon Haunted.
You have no idea what the circus is. If you're in Act 3 and you're avoiding Cazador's palace, you've gone past the circus. It's before you get to the fortress where Gortash is having his ceremony.
Whatever he's got going on.
Thingy. The town before you actually get into Baldur's Gate. It's there. It's
Hello, Jason Isaacs.
Oh, hello to Jason Isaacs.
Massive thanks to you for joining us. A huge thanks to Susan for being just the most,
Oh, yeah.
the most
Absolutely.
wonderful, chaotic guest.
It's normal circus, not evil circus. Folks, I have pieces of a dead clown in my inventory. It is definitely an evil
No, you
circus.
have an intact dead. You have a complete
No, I
dead
haven't.
clown
I
at
think
this
I'm
point.
missing a foot. I still gotta go find it.
That's just going to make him sound knobbly. It's not going to slow him down. I've seen the Terminator. I know what's up. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
I've been Alasdair,
I've been Marguerite.
and this has been fun. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.